Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm going to talk about my paused reads. So I have a really bad habit of picking up books, loving them, and then getting distracted and not finishing them. So I have quite a few different reads that are paused that I very much intend to come back to and really to just start off at the point where I stopped, so not reread or anything like that. Some of these have been paused for quite a long time, but I really would love to get back to all of them. I do also have some reads that are paused that I am reading together with my husband Sush, but I'm excluding those from this list. So this is just the list of reads that I am personally reading that I need to finish. So the book that has been on this list for the longest is one that I started to read in 2017, and that is Piano Oriental by Zeina Abirached. I paused this at about 30%, and I very much want to go back to it. I even now own a physical copy of it, so I really want to finish it. It is basically the story of a woman's family who immigrated to France, and it's a graphic memoir and just really beautifully illustrated, so I very much want to get back to it. Now moving on to books that I started reading in 2018, starting with Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I am 15% through this book, and I was very much enjoying the beginning of it. It is about a Nigerian woman who immigrates to the US, but then later maybe has some interactions with a childhood sweetheart back in Nigeria. Next is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I am 29% through this one, and I have been loving it. I have picked it up a couple of times, but I did start reading it back in 2018. And I think my issue with this is that I've been listening to it on audiobook, and I don't tend to go to audiobooks very often. So I'm thinking I might switch to just reading the ebook, because I think then I would actually get through it quite quickly, even though I'm loving Michelle Obama's narration. So we'll have to see, but I'm really thoroughly enjoying this, and I definitely want to get back to it. Next is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. I am 60% through this one, and this is one that actually Sush and I listened to on a road trip on audio. And what happened was the road trip ended and we were at 60% and I stopped listening to the book. And I just haven't picked it up since then, even though it was a very interesting book talking about sort of the way our brain works in terms of decision making and analysis, where there's a lot of intuitive things that is kind of the brain thinking fast. And then there's a lot of things where we sit down and logically work through and analyze things, and that's the brain thinking slow. Super fascinating book, really influential, so I want to finish it, I just need to pick it up. Now moving on to books that I started in 2019, beginning with Tusong Lovejoy by Philippe Girard. This I am about 10% through. It is a biography of Tusong Lovejoy, who is super important, kind of was influential leader in the Haitian Revolution. Very cool, loved the beginning of this, really gave a kind of nuanced look at the complexity of who Tusong Lovejoy was and some of his failings, as well as some of the important things he did. So I'm very interested in reading this book. Next is The Faded Sky by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is the second book in the Lady Astronaut series. This is sort of like a alternate history sci-fi series where a big meteor hits the Earth and causes intense weather changes, and basically the people have to leave the planet. And so the space race is kind of majorly moved forward. This happens in the 50s, and women become a big part of that. And it's a really well-written series. I'm very interested in continuing. I just have tried to read this a couple of times and keep running out of time. I just need to find like a good stretch of time where I can actually get to this book. Next is Changeless by Gail Carriger. This is the second book in the Parasol Protectorate. It is a very cute paranormal Victorian romance series that has like werewolves and vampires and all these sorts of things. It's very silly, kind of has a steampunk aesthetic. It's a fun series. I'm about 22% into this one, and I think I just wasn't in the mood when I had picked this up, but I think that I would be another time, so I'll try it again. Next is How to Be a Victorian by Ruth Goodman. I am about 25% into this book, and it is super fascinating. It's a nonfiction about just various aspects of how Victorian daily life worked. Things like how the toilets were and how their clothing was and all of these sorts of things. It was super, super fascinating, but my library copy had to go back, and so I didn't finish it, and I just haven't been able to check it out and make time for it again. Now on to the books that I started in 2020 this year, beginning with Sal and Gabi Fix the Universe by Carlos Hernandez, which is the sequel to Sal and Gabi Break the Universe. I am 11% into this book and I desperately want to return to it. This is high on my priority list of finishing this year because I just know that I'm gonna love it. I was just getting a little bit stressed out by some of the content in it, but I'm in a better headspace now, so I want to return and definitely finish it. Another book I'd love to get back to and finish this year is Medallion Status by John Hodgman. I'm at 30% in this book. John Hodgman is one of my favorite comedy writers. I just really like his voice. I really like the way that he makes essays that are about everyday life, but very self-deprecating and just kind of recognizing the ridiculousness of life. So I really want to get back to this. I was really enjoying it. I just ran out of time. Next is A Place for Us by Fatima Farheen Mirza. I am about 33% into this book, and this is sort of like a family drama about an Indian American family and sort of the difficulties between the parents and the children and kind of their views on how things should work, which is very common in immigrant families. So this was a good book, but a little bit more of a drama, so I have to just be in the mood for it. Next is Idlewild by Jude Sierra. I'd also really love to finish this one this year. I am 33% through this one, and it is a male-male romance that takes place in Detroit between a restaurant owner and a younger man who works for that restaurant. And it was a very slow, almost contemplative romance, which you don't run across that often, but I thought it was really cool, so I want to get back to it. Next is a French children's book, a Tintin book called Louverture Sol by Carriger, and I am 42% into this one. It is something that I was reading when I was trying at the beginning of this year to work a little bit harder at reading non-English books, and then I kind of fell off of that wagon, but I was enjoying this, so I want to just go ahead and finish it. And lastly is Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman. I am 61% through this book. It is basically about how to view things that happen in life, not so pervasively bad, but more as just temporary things that don't work out. So it's kind of about having an optimistic mindset. I was really enjoying this book. I just had to get back to the library because my loan was due. Okay, so those are all of the books that I have that are on my pause shelf that I at least remember that I have. I really want to read all of these books, and if you guys have read any of them, if you think there's any on here that I should super prioritize, let me know. Or if you are also somebody who has paused books, who fully intends to come back to them but just hasn't yet, let me know down in the comments below.